Wole Soyinka. Born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masks and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
Directors, President, Nigerian Guild of Editors, distinguished editors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, as part of your engagement to engage with various stakeholders, you have met with various groups, and another critical group that you are meeting today are members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Of course, you had a meeting with NUG, where they selected journalists from states of the Federation, where you share your vision and also seek for their support. It's the same thing we are here to do. Editors, before you is the chairman of the ICPC. Before becoming the chairman of ICPC, he was the Commissioner of Justice in Jigawa State. And he has a vision that he intends to unveil, or he wants you to help him so that he achieve this vision. Dr. Musa Ali San is currently pursuing a vigorous restructuring of the ICPC that requires your support, your understanding. And that is why he came to Lagos purposely to meet with you and to seek for that support. Distinguished editors, I present you as one of you. I present you the chairman of ICPC and Dr. Musa Ali San. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome, sir.
The management staff of ICPC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy and delighted to be in the midst of these distinguished Nigerians. And I have to say that we at ICPC, we really cherishes and greatly values the partnership with you all, because we know that you are really great and valuable because of the role which our grand norm has given to the media. And there is no doubt that your dedication to exposing corruption and enhancing our efforts has been crucial in fostering a more transparent society. And our decision to come here today is part of our determination to strengthen our partnership. That's why this breakfast meeting is not merely an event, but any affirmation of our shared mission to combat corruption and uphold integrity in Nigeria. And your support for the ICPC in delivering its statutory mandate, including its robust activities and initiatives in fighting corrupt practices and other related offenses in Nigeria, is really commendable, because you have been really helpful in enlightening Nigerians about the problem of corruption. And I'm personally filled with gratitude that the media has continued to positively boost the ICPC's anti-corruption public communication efforts. Your investigative reports, analysis, and overall dedication to truth have helped in exposing corrupt practices, because there are a lot of stories that you published which help us in our investigation. And most of these stories, they have led us to discovering some massive challenges that is facing, or that are facing our public sector. And if I may recall, there is one whereby it has to do with our youth. The contract is supposed to be executed for the benefit of our youth, but the humongous amount of money was diverted. And it was as a result of one of you we discovered the challenge. So I thank you for the contribution. As we salute your commitment to the crusade against corruption, ICPC under my leadership is really serious to ensure the sustenance and heightening of our collaboration with you. And the media is not merely an observer, you are a frontline partner in the fight. And over the years, ICPC has adopted a strategic communication approach in line with Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and Section 27, Sub 4 of the ICPC Act. And these laws ensure the protection of suspects' rights while remaining strict, diligent, and stand in our actions. And ICPC will remain resolute in propagating the rule of law and protecting human dignity. And also, ICPC under my leadership prioritizes the protection of whistleblowers and the integrity of investigations. And transparency is a cornerstone of our work, and we will continue to provide verified information through official channels, which include press releases, newsletters, and our digital platforms. May I quickly review some of our engagement last year? Last year, because I was Attorney General, and I rallied my former colleagues, we had a meeting in Abuja, whereby we look at the challenge of corruption at subnational. We reviewed the problems and also agreed that we need to work together. As a former Attorney General, I know that they are critical because they are the chief law officers of the states. That is why I engaged them, and after the meeting we had in Abuja, we started the zonal engagement. We had one in Kano for the Northwest, where we discussed challenges around corruption within the zone. And also this year we are going to the other geopolitical zones to have similar deliberations. And also in September this year we are going to sit down and review what we have done to see how can we partner. Because I feel the attorneys general are critical, and as chief law officers they need to work together with us, because by section 15 of the Constitution all of us are supposed to put hand on deck in order to fight corruption and also to see how can we tackle abuse of office. And also I had engagement with Nigerian Institute of the NIPR, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, ICANN, Nigerian Bar Association, and various stakeholders on how can we partner in the fight against corruption. Because no single entity can fight corruption. We need to work together. So that is why I reach out to various stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same page. And last year, we were able to reach out fiscally 1,458,000 individuals through our 579 sensitization exercise conducted under our community engagement programs. And we issued about 188 press releases. And also the Commission experienced increased followership in our social media platforms. And also we introduced what we call Ethics Pods, a podcast, whereby we are sensitizing Nigerians around the issue of corruption. And also, there is no way we can succeed without having planning. Our strategic action plan 2024 to 2028 was unveiled last year, whereby we gathered stakeholders and discussed it, because that will be our focus on how we can work. And our strategic action plan is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which has 5 pillars: corruption prevention, issue of enforcement and punishment, ethical orientation, and also enlisting public support of Nigerians, so that, and also recovery of proceeds of crime and management. And this is the area whereby we have upscaled our activities to see that we trace, recover, and manage the process of crime, and also to remit it back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, so that we won't allow those allegedly took away what did not belong to them to go away with it. Because if you allow them, once they accumulate the process of crime, no doubt they will use it and also to fight back. And also they will deprive Nigerians with what they are supposed to have in the issue of infrastructure. So that's why we focus seriously in that area of recovery of process of crime. And also ICPC, as you know, that it has laudable programs. And one of the key issues which I focus is that I ensure that I consolidate all what the previous chairman of ICPC have done, from late Justice Mustafa Akambi to Professor Wasson. I ensure that all their programs are intact, and I'm building up so that I want to ensure that we maintain that organizational culture of ICPC, and also for me to enhance what they did, most especially to focus on digital transformation, because this is an area whereby we need to use technology in the fight against corruption, most especially in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence, but we'll be able to analyze huge data. And I'm sure you are aware of the constituency and executive project tracking, which ICPC is well known about it. And I know last year we were able to track over 1,500 projects, which has value of over 600 billion naira. And so that at least Nigerians can get good quality projects that is in the budget. And also the Ethic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, which is an initiative of ICPC, which measure institutions' adherence to ethical standards. We released the results, and I have seen the impact, because most of head of agencies that have not done well, they reach out. Chairman, why? What are our challenges? Can you help us to see that we overcome these problems? Which is really good, because I have never thought that it will have that impact. And why? Because of you here. You have gave it wide publicity. So because of that, most of the head of agencies now, they reach out. Please, how can we do well next year? So I thank you for the assistance. And also our sexual harassment prevention program, which is tackling corruption linked to abuse of power. Last year, I know that we had engagement with the civil society, where the ministers of the Minister of Education, then Professor Tahir Mamman, and the State Minister Yusuf Tonko Sununu, they were there. The former Minister of Affairs was there, and also over 20 commissioners of education across the country, they attended, because we discussed the challenge around the problem of sexual harassment, most especially in our tertiary institutions, because our students are victims of this challenge. So that's why ICPC has been doing its grades in that area, so that we ensure that we help our students, we protect them from sexual harassment. And I'm sure that you are aware that currently there is one of the senior academics that is facing trial at Abuja Federal High Court on this issue of sexual harassment. So, and we are determined to ensure that where there is credible evidence, any sexual harassment complaint tabled before us, we will make our efforts to ensure that we investigate it and also take the matter to court where there is evidence. Then there is our anti-corruption and transparency unit, Act 2, that they have been doing well in the various MDAs in order to help in ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in MDAs in this country. Then, when I came in, I tried to bring up my policy, which I call it Care for Impact, to ensure that ICPs as an agency, I consolidate the good culture of that agency, and also an agency which is accountable, responsible, and efficient in approaching all issues that are tabled before us. So that one too is something that I unveiled last year, and we have been using it. Now, recently, we are aware of the decision of the Supreme Court about the local government autonomy. So we have looked at the decision, and also we have been having various engagement with civil society to see how can we give our quota, how can we contribute our quota in ensuring that the local government autonomy operates the way it's supposed to. And also, how can we follow what are happening in the local government councils. And we are trying to bring up what we call corruption prevention program for local governments, whereby we will monitor activities at all the 774 local government areas in this country. One problem we notice is that in this era of technology, there are only 7 local government areas in this country that have functional websites. So we feel that is not right. So we will now try to see how can we use technology to force the local government council to make information available to Nigerians so that Nigerians can follow what they are doing. You also, the editors and other media stakeholders, can be able to follow what are they doing so that we will monitor if there are issues, questions can be asked. We can follow because we don't have the enough manpower to go over all the 774 local government areas. But we feel technology can help us. And we know that practically, I don't think there are procurement processes in our local government councils. This is an area where we need to look at. And also we will ensure that there are mechanisms around control of corruption, around the issue of finances of local government councils. So we will team up with the media, with the civil society to ensure that information are available. Nigerians know what is happening so that at least it will reduce the challenge of corruption at local government level. Last 2 weeks, we are in Gombe, myself and Ola, the chairman of the EFCC. And we discussed around the challenges at local government level. So, and we are determined to ensure that we focus there so that Nigerians at the local level can get the dividend of democracy. And even recently, we have been facing challenges around the issue of this local government autonomy because there is even one caretaker local government chairman whom we charged to court because after the decision of the Supreme Court, he continued to spend government money to award contracts despite the fact that the Supreme Court said, look, stop. And also we know how challenging this issue of local autonomy has been since 1999. But ICPs as an agency, we will ensure that by virtue of Section 287 of the Constitution, we have the power to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court is implemented fully. And also, I'm appealing to those who are making attempts not to comply with the decision of the African Court to please desist. Because Supreme Court is the last court. Once it delivers a judgment, we must comply. That's what is rule of law. Because ICPC will continue to monitor and investigate because any caretaker local government chairman from 11th of July 2024 who spent public funds, who award contract, that is corruption because you don't have the mandate. And also the Apex Court has already spoken, so we must comply. Now, in my 1 year in office, there are a lot of international engagements which ICPC engage in. And in one of the engagements is that last year in September, we had an event in Beijing, China, whereby there is Global Network. Global Network is a coalition of over 200 anti-corruption agencies across the globe from 124 countries. And I had the privilege of leading ICPC delegation and Nigeria, whereby Nigeria participated in an election of steering committee member, and Nigeria was elected as one of the top steering committee member of that global network. And also, one area which I made mention that we have been focusing is the issue of asset recovery. Asset recovery is really area whereby we in Africa, we must focus on it, because we have seen how our own resources have been taken outside the continent, going to the global north. So that was why at the African Union level, if you may recall, in 2015, there is Thabo Mbeki high-level committee, whereby the heads of state of African countries agree that there is need for a forum of asset recovery practitioners in Africa. And the processes of bringing up the forum, it was last year that the forum was established in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I was elected as one of the representatives of West Africa, whereby we met in Arusha, Tanzania in November, whereby I was elected as the interim chair of that forum to try to galvanize the 55 African countries and corruption agencies to ensure that we come together to see how can we help Africa to recover and repatriate stolen assets that are kept somewhere else. And we agree that, look, apart from slavery, which is our own human resources that was taken to other continents, there are a lot of stolen assets of Africa outside the shores of Africa. And we know what is happening. Whenever you want to trace and recover, the experts outside Africa will charge you huge amount of money to recover all professional fees to recover those stolen assets. So that was why we say, no, we need to come together as Africans. Let us identify our experts within the continent. If we need somebody to trace, Nigeria doesn't have the expert. It can look for Ghana, Kenya, or any other African country. Do you have the expert? Yes. So that's why we are coming together to see that we trace, recover, and repatriate the stolen assets. Also, we'll keep on raising this issue of stolen assets at various fora, because the United Nations Convention Against Corruption has already backed the issue of stolen assets that we need to recover it. So this is an area whereby that I'm chairing now, and we are trying to see how we will make efforts to see that it has seen the light of the day. And distinguished editors, we know that corruption thrives where there is silence or in silence. But your voices are the ones that can shatter that silence. Your role in shaping public perception and holding institutions accountable cannot be overstated. The more Nigerians see what you write, what your opinion about this issue of corruption, the better for us. Because they will be enlightened, they will know what is happening, they will ask questions, and that will put us on our toes. That will minimize the challenge of corruption. Because we at ICPC, we are trying to see how can we use our mission to diminish corrupt practices through our public mobilization, our own doggedness in investigation, and also to ensure that we follow rule of law. We will be patient in investigation. No matter how long it will take, we will do it slowly but surely. We will reach our destination. And also, we at ICPC will ensure that we deepen our own relationship with you, the media. And I'm appealing to you to come to our aid. Try to understand the terrain we are walking. It's not easy terrain. Whoever worked within that corruption cycle will know that it is not easy, because it is an area whereby you are fighting those who are already determined to continue to pilfer our resources. It's an area whereby those who engage in corrupt practices are really determined to peddle information that are not correct in order to try to bring controversies so that to divert the attention of the main issue. So fairness, hearing from the other side, is what will help us to discharge our mandate. And ICPC, for the past 25 years, has consistently maintained ensuring that there is fairness and the fair hearing, and also we do not engage in anything that will bring damage to people because of allegation against them. We will continue to ensure that we will be fair. If you ask questions, we will answer. And like I said, we are appealing to you to reason with us because of the terrain we are operating, which I know I don't need to elaborate. So that's why there is no way we will not come close to you. There is no way, because we need you, because Nigerians need to know what is happening. That will project the good image of our country. That will make foreign direct investment to come into our country. That will make our youth to have job. We know what is happening in this country. We know that a lot of youth are roaming on the streets looking for job. And the youth are the future leader of this country. So, and it is through you, by helping us to propagate our activities and also to bring issues that will project good image of this country. By doing that, we will make Nigeria great, and also we will tackle the challenge of our corruption. And conclusively, I want to emphasize that you mean a lot to us, and that we count on you as dependable partners in ensuring that Nigeria is corrupt-free, and also I'm sure that partnering with you will continue to help ICPC to move forward, and also ICPC will continue to record achievements, and we hope that the aspiration of Section 15 of the Constitution will be realized, where Nigeria will be a country free from corrupt practices and abuse of office. Thank you so much. Money and property last year, and I even know even this year too, we recovered some amount of money and also property. Even currently, we are tracing and marking some assets in one of the states where some people diverted public funds. Even this morning, I know that there is an amount of money which we recovered from the diversion of public funds. So we are talking about both the fixed and movable property. That's if you are talking within Nigeria. Even abroad, it is the same thing. Although during my time, ICPC did not recover any assets from taken outside the shores of Nigeria. But I know that we are collaborating with one of the African countries about money that was brought into Nigeria from that country. We are tracking and to trace the money so that we will see how the money can be taken back to where it was brought in here. So this is what I can say. And some of the issues you raise are part of the problem. Like I said somewhere else, and I kept on saying, I will say it here. My first contact with public office is when I was Attorney General. That was when I now realized that all what I was thinking, when I came into contact with the reality, then I now realize that we Nigerians are part of the problem. One of the issues you raised about societal pressure. I'm not saying that it's a justification for any public officer to engage in corruption. But I'm sure you have had one or two discussions with those who are holding public office. The kind of stress and pressure that public officers are undergoing in this country is too much. Because the family, the friends, associates expect you to give them money. And this is one of the factors that is now pushing those in public office to go into that. And I noticed that any public officer who resists, you are considered as awkward, very difficult, and they will keep on pressurizing you that if only people that are strong that can stand that pressure. And also some people too, they are even daring, will tell you, I was a victim when I was Attorney General. And I want to say it here, maybe the person who did it will hear an issue which I say, look, AG, we want you to do this thing. I say, sir, it's not even in public office, it's not even a public officer. I say, sir, I can't do this thing because my conscience will not allow me to do it. After they put pressure from different angles, okay, you are a young man. How? I don't want to destroy your career. And I say, sir, my career is not in your hand. It's in the hand of God, my Creator. And I left. What followed, it wasn't pleasant. I had to battle for more than 1 year of series of blackmail, from one blackmail to another, just because somebody wants to get money. And you can only get that money through me. And I was put under intense pressure to succumb, which I did not. What followed was I was put under serious stress. Now, the second problem is there is this theory. Whenever the corruption, if you look at it, if the benefit is high, the risk is low, people will keep on to engage. If people know that if you engage in corruption, it is really highly risky, you will lose your reputation in public. People will never consider you as somebody who has reputation in the society. People will be careful. If you know that the punishment is going to be very harsh, people will be careful. But if the risk is very low, the benefit is high, so people will continue to engage. So that is why we need to look, how can we strengthen our laws to ensure that those who engage are punished seriously. And also, you, the media, you have the role to play in sensitizing Nigerians that those who are trying, please try to support them. And distinguished aides, I want to tell you that there are good people in this country. Every part of this country, there is no part of this country that I did not come across people that detest corruption, people that are serious, people that help me. I met a lot of people that are trying to see how can we help this thing, how can we fight this corruption, Chairman. But the problem is that the support from the public, sometimes people are not willing to support because they feel, you know, what you are doing is not worth it. And also because of the pressure, so people feel like, okay, let us leave you, go and do what. So this is second problem. And also, we need to see how can we fasten the judicial process. Because it's law. It is not the law that is the problem, but rather some of us within the system, we try to put stumbling block in the judicial processes, bring in series of applications, truncate, so that you will see one case will take many years. Even the witness will be frustrated. You call a witness today, the matter is adjourned, and I'm not saying that it is the fault of the judges. No, it is all of us, the lawyers, and also other stakeholders, that we know if your client has an issue, as a lawyer, you know, because once you look at the facts and the proof of evidence, you'll be able to know that my client has an issue. Okay, how can we help him to face justice so that all the process of justice, the court and the system should be fair to him? But you will see that that slowing down is also another factor. That you will see somebody engage in corruption. When you take him to court, it will take many years. And before you know it, you will see another corruption case. And also another problem, especially in the public sector, I now notice, is that our public service rules also has a problem, because it has given a leeway that people engaging in corruption, there is no specific provision which provides that, look, once you are engaged in corruption, you should automatically be dismissed. But some, you will find that after ICPC are investigating an issue, it has taken somebody to court, even if you secure conviction, you will not realize that the agencies are not willing to edge out those people. They will leave them to continue working. Because I feel any public officer that is convicted, he is not supposed to continue working in public agency. He should go. If the Constitution will say that conviction of embezzlement and fraud attracts disqualification for a certain period of time, I think there is need. Any convict should not be allowed to work within the public service. It should just be aged out. And that is why now, as chairman of ICPC, we are now going to exploit the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal. Any public officer will secure conviction and the agency refuses to edge him out, we will send him to Code of Conduct, because they have the power to edge him out. So there is another way, so that we don't allow people to continue. So these and other issues are part of the problem, why the problem of corruption will keep on coming and coming and coming. And also the institutions are really weak, because there are a lot of vulnerabilities where people are exploiting in order to commit corrupt practices. That is why we need to focus on technology. Technology will be able to give you the thread. You will be able to know some of the things that are happening, most especially around procurement. This is an area whereby there is serious problem because of the laxity and the challenge around that. So that's why you will see that almost you will be seeing issues around procurement be raised in public sector. So this is also another factor that is bringing this issue of corruption to keep on going. And also there is international dimension too. Because if those who are taking or stealing the humongous amount of money, they don't have a place to hide it, then it will reduce. But they know that they can wear it somewhere else. And those countries, I keep on saying, when you say that we have challenge of corruption, why are you keeping the process of crime in your country? Why can't you turn them back? This is process of crime. Please take it back to your country, because there is United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And it is a global legal instrument. But you will find out that when they wear the money outside the country, there are a lot of technicalities. MLA, other things that will be frustrated, because the legal mechanisms are made in such a way that it's even very, very difficult for you to recover. So if they know that they cannot take it somewhere else, I think the problem might reduce. Okay, the constancy project, like I said, we have been investigating the issue because it's a challenge that has been with us for a long period of time. And from what I notice of why the challenge keep on coming is one of the issues you made mention. Because there was a time when member of National Assembly, he told me, say, Chairman, I have concern. I say, what is your concern? He said, it's about this concern executive project tri-kill. You people are doing well, but I know why this issue will keep on coming. On that day, he was telling me the challenge he was facing. There was burial in his hometown. You need to contribute. He said, look, somebody had domestic accident. He called me. And so he kept on mentioning. He said, I'm not justifying, but the societal pressure on us is too much. That's why only those who are strong will resist. And I don't know whether that is part of the reason why we are having this challenge. And to be frank with you, we have noticed areas whereby some of them did not execute the project. We have noticed whereby some of them, they did shoddy job. We have noticed whereby some of you notice that, like I keep on saying, a well is supposed to be dig in one place, and somebody will just take it to his home farmland. We will see whereby street lights, instead of to be installed on the streets, somebody will put in his house. So these are challenges that keep coming. And I know that there is one of the newspapers last year, they made a front page story that ICPC has failed to tackle this challenge. And I know that we have been doing our best, and we did a lot because we have recovered a lot. And even currently, I know that there is somebody who is facing trial. A charge will file a charge against one of the former members of National Assembly. A former member is facing trial because of diversion. And also, we know that we have been going to ensure that if you do not execute the contract, you must go and do it. I know that there is a state whereby an ambulance was diverted. We ensure that it was taken to the hospital. I know where a lot of things. And that's why the strategy is good, in the sense that let us recover the process of crime and put it into use. Because if you keep on filing charges and all these things, you will spend many years in court while the actual project will not be executed. And to be fair to them, if you confront them, you show them the proof. Honorable or distinguished, this is a project you're supposed to execute, you do not. Please direct the contractor to go back to site, or contractor go back to site. They go back. And recently, those who are being used, the contractors, I have been hard on them. If you allow money to be diverted through you, I am going to charge you now. You want to refund that money because you allow yourself to be used as conduit pipe. So we have been doing that and we have recovered a lot. And if I may say that the societal pressure, in my view, is one of the challenges, and also the weakness of the institutions. Because, to be frank, some of the heads of agencies, they allow themselves to be used in these challenges of constituency projects. Because if the head of agencies insists, once there is a contract awarded, that contract must be executed to the latter. Or you insist that you are not going to allow anything to be inserted in your budget, which is not out of your mandate. So if we will do that, then this thing will minimize. But if the head of agencies allow themselves to be used, then this thing will keep on happening. And ICPC, all the corruption agencies, we don't have the capacity to follow all the projects. That's why you, as the media, you can expose. The public too, they need to follow their project, on your project. If there's a project which is supposed to be done in your constituency or in your security district, it was not done, raise it. And I don't think there is any public officer that you confront him with evidence that this amount of money was appropriated for a particular project and you don't execute, please go back and execute. You will not say, no, I will not go to do that. I hope I have answered. We are doing it in such a way that we don't disrupt the financial system. So we do it in such a way that we don't allow you to continue with illegality and committing crime, so that we will save the banking system and also the public sector fund. Then on issue of Dubai, like you made mention, in my speech I made mention of proceeds of crime. And I alluded to the fact that the international legal regimes, the various laws of countries are the problem. Because for me, I kept on saying in various fora of anti-corruption that look, if somebody steals our money and take it to your own country and you keep it, why are you telling me that we should come together and fight corruption? Why? Because you know, because your own, there is no your money in my country. So that's why you are saying we should join hands. Why I have traced and point out to you, this is the public funds taken to your own country. Why can't you give us our own? But because of the legal regimes, sometimes it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of, it's not even law alone, there are politics, there are diplomacy, so it is something which is even outside the realm of anti-corruption agencies alone, because you need a lot of stakeholders. I know recently there are countries that I am the one who have been following that, look, let us sign an MOU with you, because we have noticed our funds are being taken to your own countries. And they agree. There are some 1 or 2 countries that I know that we are about to complete sign an MOU because of what we have noticed.
Also here, as a media owner, I here with my team, we have a radio station and also a television station. I want to commend your efforts. For you to meet with the media shows you are transparent. It shows you are accountable. I don't have any questions to ask you because I'm part of the team. It is not cheap to fight corruption. It's very, very expensive. Fighting corruption is also very, very complex. It's not as easy as we used to say it. It is only the person that is wearing the shoe that will know where
It pitches.
it pitches is. So I commend your efforts and I pray for more grace that God should color your efforts. Everything is in your favor, the age, the energy, you have the capacity, and you have the right team to help you to drive it.
Thank you.
You have the right team to drive it. Finally, you have this advice. You can't do it alone. You need to also rely on the outside team to help you to drive your dreams, your plans, and goals, especially in the area of the media. I suggest maybe you could have something like a strategic media public enlightenment committee. Comprises, of course, the media team as well, stakeholders. You have a committee who also help you spread your good news. Also help you spread your good news either in the public sector, in the private sectors, and all that. Because if you say you want to work with media like you would like to work to, it's very, very expensive. But when you have the committees, selected committee, media team, editors, and also for the private sector and public sector, they will help you to achieve your dreams and goals. So you have our support, and like I said, God will color your efforts. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Angry ones and the pastors. Let me just add to your to-do list. I had 2 questions written down, but after Ikechukwu gave his lecture, I decided to calm down. You talked about, before I round up, and thank you for coming, judges advising you to go settle out of court. The biggest problem, one of the biggest problems with corruption in Nigeria are those judges. Recently, I think it was the Chief Justice of Nigeria who said election cases constitute about 70 or 80% of the cases they have in their dockets, which suggests that election cases are very lucrative for them. So you have to put your searchlight on the judiciary. Then number 2, your constituency, the legal profession. Please, MBA has, from all accounts, a vibrant lawyer, Afam Osigwe. Engage, collaborate with him. MBA too has to deliver. Plea bargaining takes place and judges advise you to go settle out of court. It's because the judges too are corrupt. The appointment and promotion mechanism on the bench is also corrupt. Search the NJC. Today, the type of, what's the word now? Corruption in terms of judicial promotion in Abuja is huge and impacts on the quality of judgment delivered. So, Mr. Chairman, the biggest thing you have done is to come here to show transparency. You said corruption thrives when there's. I also say this, I'll add to that corruption thrives when there's darkness, when it's hidden. So your coming out here suggests that you really want to fight corruption in partnership with my colleagues. And it's a brilliant thing you have done. I know you met some of my colleagues in Abuja, and that's why the Secretary of the Guild and the Deputy President of the Guild are here. You have to continue. Because if you want to work with the media, honestly, the way you have shown, the media will work with you, and Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you for coming.
And I will do my best to discharge my duty to the best of my ability, together with the officers of the ICPC. That is why, if people are raising the issue of bias, the issue of all this lie, you cannot prevent people from raising those kind of issues. But one thing I know, that if I satisfy my conscience I'll go to sleep. And like I said, there is somewhere else that we are going to account somewhere. And that is why I try as much as possible to be fair in what I'm doing. And also God knows what I'm doing, and also know my ability, because the anti-corruption is a very complex and difficult thing. Sometimes getting evidence, getting things is difficult. Even if you're investigating issues, somebody will look like you are targeting you are targeting somebody, or you have a motive, or this thing. So on my own part, I will do my best, and also posterity will judge, because that's the only thing I can say. On other issue, which like the president said that the lecture you gave us, and some of the things you raised, I quite agree with you that those are the challenges, and we need to work on them. And in my view, that is why the Constitution is structured in such a way that the Chapter 2, it is left in such a way that is you, the leader, that should strive to ensure that Chapter 2 is realizable. You attain that aspiration: education, healthcare, good environment, all other social amenities. You as a leader, you must think outside the box to ensure that you reduce the poverty level, which I agree with you. The level of poverty is really high, and we need to tackle it, because without tackling the poverty, we will continue to face this challenge of corruption that keeps on coming. And also, we are not justifying or defending the public office holders or the politicians, like you said, that we are saying that there is societal pressure. Like you said, it's a fact. We can't deny it. Myself as ICPC chairman, if I show you the number of text messages people are sending to me every day, you'll be shocked. In fact, I am even thinking that some they have even forgotten that I am the ICPC chairman. Maybe they are thinking that I am chairman of one local government or a state governor, because they will keep on sending. So, and also they will keep on calling, because the number of calls are such that they are unbearable. And we are part of the society. Even if we deny, there is such a thing that even if you deny, is a reality. And I agree that poverty is one of the factors. But also we have to keep on telling people that they need to consider public office holders. And also we, the public office holders, also, we need to live a simple life. Because some of us, the way we are living a very larger life, that's why people will keep on pressurizing you. But unfortunately, it is also us the Nigerians that are pushing people. Like that member I cited an example, he told me that my constituents were telling me that, look at this man. He has finished house order, he has an old car. Up to now. So people are even look at you, there are certain things that even if you exhibit as a public officer, people will look at you that is strange. So why? Because it is the society that are pushing people to adopt a life that will put you in trouble. And once you resist, like I said, they will say you are awkward, you are difficult, all these things. And we are all human beings. And that is why we need that support from you, the media, in your own writings, articles, and opinions, and also the public too. They need to support public officers that are transparent, that try to live within their means and within the ambit of the law. But without that, you will find one or two people that because of that they will derail. Because of that prejudice. That's why always I will raise this issue of pressure. Last week when I was in Gombe, and I told the chairman, don't allow anybody to put pressure on you to dip your hand in public purse. Let them say whatever they want to say. Because one day you are going to leave. It's better for you to leave, you go home and sleep well, than for you to leave and something to follow up which will not be nice.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by SOUQ to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party. And Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy, to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became high commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was the position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the sketch group of companies as well. And And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women weren't not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
the kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. And I have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. My father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics straight immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Osun State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. And I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me, and I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to do with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria has never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 constitution, or do they want to draw up a new one. If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means I've indirectly approved the 1999 constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has an advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of the state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the MacPherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased. Neither were the NPC. Because they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like I said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So it was the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country. And it's just a question of its having continued with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. Their decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. That's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Osun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Osun State, we had quite a number of youths who are unemployed, and the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in the state. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. There's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. Sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes, there are hiccups in terms of the fact that we could do a lot better in terms of how we implement things. But in terms of the people yearning for democracy, and imbibing it, I think we've done very well. And what we just need to do is just to try and perfect it. One of the ways, like I said much earlier, is to perhaps take a second look at the Constitution, see where areas where we can improve, and try and make people happy, and at the same time reduce the cost of governance. But I don't think democracy is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
Well, I would say now he's gotten the job. If this question had come before now, I would be able to say that I do not think we need him. But he's there now, so all we need to do is see what best he can do or what best we can do to support him to succeed. Now, going by his previous records, going by all that he's achieved in sports, ordinarily, one wouldn't have said he's the best for the Super Eagles at this time. But here we are. Decision makers have made their decisions. They've taken the decisions. We can only talk, but they already have their way. Well, I think his assessment will start when he starts playing games. He's not had any game with Nigeria, so we can't assess him. But going by his previous records, I don't think he would have been the best for Nigeria at this time. Not against other homegrown indigenous coaches who have had better records within and outside Nigeria. On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't think Shele will fit in at any point. But of course, having him been appointed, all we need to do is give support and see the best that we can get from him being Nigerians. And of course, at all times, irrespective of whatever decisions are taken, we want Nigeria to excel. Because in Nigeria's excellence, we are proud. In Nigeria's excellence, those of us that are in the media and sporting media, to be precise, we can do business. If Nigeria is not winning, the biggest brand for Nigeria is the Super Eagles, sports-wise. So if Nigeria is not winning, if Nigeria is not making waves, then we don't have business to do. So it's in our interest that he succeeds. So to that extent, I would say yes. But looking at his appointment, I think it's just a part of the over-politicization of the sporting industry, power show by the immediate past president of the Football Federation, Melvin Pinnick Amaju. Having failed in his 2 terms, continues to transverse the terrain to show he still has power. And of course, he brought Shele. And of course, the Gusau, the incumbent president of the Football Federation, has to listen to his master. So his master's voice, that's what we're experiencing. If they like, let them bring the Hirusadi. You see, there are things about Nigeria and Nigerian sports that should not surprise anybody. Politics are played everywhere, and balancing of acts are played everywhere. Federal character everywhere, and the federal character thing is just all very pretentious things they do. It's not for the interest of Nigeria. Just to show that okay, we've taken somebody from the south, or we've taken one from the west, or we are now taking from the north. Who will take in the north? Let's bring Ahmed Musa. He's calm. He'll be able to talk to the players. What is he going to say to the players? He's past his prime a long time ago. So it's all politics and not in the interest of the nation. I can tell you that. But for Chele going around Europe, yes, he has to. Because everywhere you go, to be the chief coach of the Nigerian national team, senior national team, can be a huge task. Because every day you have Nigerian boys showing up in big leagues, in small clubs, in championship clubs, even around the country. You find players everywhere. Nigeria, I think today, if we are not exporting oil, I think we are exporting footballers to everywhere. Even though they are born abroad, I mean, you can imagine this young boy at Arsenal, 17, Ethnan Waneri, and there's an Okoli, there's Ndidi. You have both at Leicester City. So everywhere you go, you see Nigerian boys showing stuff. So to be the coach of a Nigerian team at the level of Super Eagles is a huge task. One would expect that we should have a scouting department. One would expect that we have a department that should take charge of team psychology. We expect that we have the technical department or the directorate for technical at the Football Federation to be well equipped with people that are sound in mind, sound technically, and have capacity to work and deliver. With all of that put together, then they should be able to advise and situate the coach at the point where he can deliver and work well. Well, you see, I said yes, because I've been one of those that have always been clamoring that there's need to have a National Sports Commission. Now, having a National Sports Commission that is populated or that is headed by politicians is neither here nor there. It may not take us anywhere. We need to separate our sport. Yes, sports, you cannot do away with politics at some level. But in terms of the administration, in terms of the management, in terms of the execution, there's need to be able to separate sports and politics. In the days where we held sway in sports, where the National Sports Commission functioned effectively, all of those that occupied the position as Director General, as directors in the then National Sports Commission, were professionals. If you recall from the days of Abraham Odia, Awotro Eleya, and of course Isaac Akioye, that laid the structure and foundation for a proper National Sports Commission just after the All-Africa Games, was a thoroughbred professional from the University of Ife. And there are other such professionals all about this country. And you need to ask, if we are not able to seek and give these people jobs and give them tasks to deliver, we always will go look for political loyalists to put in positions so that they answer to us. Politics is just, to me these days, it's more like a window for public relations for political parties and individuals that are into politics to express themselves, or maybe also at the same time also reward loyalists. That's what we find. So in terms of the technicalities on administration and management of sports, in its true sense, we're still very far from it. Plenty improvement, I would say. The current managers of the league are doing everything they can to ensure that our league gets back to a competitive level at the continent, gets back to a competitive level at the rate at which we, those of us local people like myself, can appreciate our football and our footballers once again. The question to ask is to say, are we doing enough? The answer will be no. Who are those not doing enough? The media, the sporting media in Nigeria is not doing well enough. Would I say sporting media? Yes. And also the bigger media is not doing well enough. And because we are not doing well enough, that's why our league is still where it is. We would have gone further than this. The other aspect of it is government. Government across the states. Football business is supposed to be good business. Football business is supposed to be run by private individuals and clubs. There's nothing wrong to say that the people of a particular state cannot run a football club in conjunction with other private individuals who will be stakeholders and are interested in the promotion of sport and football in the sense that we're talking about it now. But what we have is that we have state governments owning football teams, and those that are administering the football teams are SA this, SA that have been appointed as a reward, that have been appointed because they are loyal, that have been appointed because they can talk a little bit about foreign leagues. Somebody can talk about the league, talk about the La Liga and the EPL, and that qualifies him to be SA in charge of sports in some states of the federation. And these are the bunch of persons or the group of persons who are running our football around the country. So who runs the clubs, the texture of the clubs, what names the clubs are bearing, what history behind the clubs, those are the things that tells you that the states are not doing enough, the Football Federation not doing enough, but I think largely the media, check out our sports programs. All you find are talking heads talking about who scored the best goal in the world, who scored the best goal in Europe, who scored the best goal in England and all that. That's what we find. You hardly will see shows, package shows about the best goals of the Nigerian League over the past weekend. The best goals, the best dribbles, how many passes, proper statistics, because the media is not doing enough. The sporting media, that is journalists that are practitioners there, not doing enough because they are not tasking themselves. They just go on the internet, download one or two things, watch and everything. All you know is you take, as a content creator in sports, you need to just take a shot of the goal that, the assist that Nwaneri gave, or Merino scored a goal for Arsenal, and you superimpose yourself and you talk over it. And that's content, and you post it, and there are likes and there are followers, and that's it, what we do. But you do not have individuals going to places to take content. All around Lagos, that's we look at as we are now, all around Nigeria, sports is going on every day. As a practitioner myself, in those days when I used to be the street reporter, we covered football from everywhere. From Abeson, from Bagada, from Volkswagen, down on Ojo, Abeta, anywhere. All of those places, and boys are still playing football. You go to Evans Square, boys are still playing football. Go to Lafayette, they are still playing football. Go to Alakoro, you still see boxing. So all of these sports are still going on. But where are the journalists that will cover these events and bring them to the fore and package them? The journalists are not ready to do that job. Even those that are ready are not funded. Those that work are not paid salaries. So everybody is just finding the easy way out, cutting corners and doing their best. Now for our league and our sports to grow, there has to be heavy investment in the media. Because everything you see about the EPL, the La Liga, you take the EPL and analyze it, you see a variety of shows all about the weekend games, the weekend wrap, the best goals, the best flops, the referee angle, even the advertising and marketing. Because when all of this are put in a fray, then people can relate to it. People can leverage on it. Brands can come and give sponsorship. But we are not able to attract sponsorship because there's nothing for the brands to take away. Because if you give brands value, they will attach to it. And it never used to be so. Before 2006, the La Liga was not popular. The EPL was not popular. The Champions League was not popular. What were Nigerians watching? Because the media itself sold out. By investing, Nigerian media organizations came together, put money together, and went to buy rights of the EPL and started broadcasting it on Nigerian television for the consumption of Nigerians so they can make cheap money. From telcos and from the brewing industry, they made more money for themselves. I mean, the media houses, rather than invest in the local league. Then they will tell them, who will watch Nigerian league? I mean, those are the questions they asked at the time. Some of us that were able to find courage, we found courage and we asked them, why would we be doing this? But of course, we were not many enough for our voices to be heard. And that's why we're here. We are where we are. So it's not far when we lost it. Can we redeem ourselves? Yes, we can, if we want to. But it will take a whole lot of courage. It will take a whole lot of work. It will take a whole lot of commitment. God help us.
the bank was totally gone. So there was nothing to say they had. But we still approached them and said, we would like to take over this bank. The journey since 1997 has been one thing or the other. And I'm happy that many years down the line, we look back and we're happy that we're audacious and bold to make them move at the time. That's why today in UBA, perseverance, resilience is a core virtue, a core attribute, a core value of ours, because we apply that early on in this journey. So that's how it all started.
Leadership, according to some Peters, entails vision, enthusiasm, trust, verve, passion, and consistency. If there's one man who graciously combines these virtues, the name Tony Elumelu comes to mind.
They say that success to a large extent is dependent on being at the right place at the right time.
I say to people, my elder brother, who is 7 years older than me, he doesn't have gray hair. I have gray hair. My gray hair started from the merger, because making it work, serving your customers, making sure that everyone in the universe of the institution, which was 428 branches at the time, that it was same level of service across board. Customers of standard trust bank that were used to a certain level of service delivery, you will not want them to come to the new institution and have a drop.
From the womb of time, Tony Elumelu has been an embodiment of nobility and excellence. He remains one of the flying eagles and shining eggheads of the banking industry. The life and times of Tony is an inspiring tale. He is one Nigeria who is unmoved by material wealth and self-aggrandizement. Tony's noble qualities were earned from his humble background. Growing up with 4 siblings in Jos Plateau State, the cowboy of the banking industry who hails from Anocha North local government area of Delta State, believed in the democratization of law combined with hard work. He began his career as a copier salesman. The Ambrose Ali University graduate of economics also bagged a master's degree in economics from the University of Lagos. In 2019, he received an honorary Doctor of Business degree from Bayero University, Kano.
Going to university, I just thought I wanted to be a businessman because my mom's brother, my mom and his brother were just 2 of them. So my uncle was a businessman, in Nigeria, and was quite successful at the time. And I was influenced. I thought he was very rich, and also I wanted to be a businessman, but not knowing whether just a businessman, you know what I mean? Because he was described then as a businessman. And but in the university, that was why I read economics, just to see. But in university, I got more enlightened because I knew more how things operated. And first degree, I was saying I just wanted a good job that would give me the start. But when I came to do my master's at Unilag, being in urban or Unilag, a lot happening at the time. And that was the era of new generation banks, a lot happening. Our friends, in banking, our friends, some got jobs in some banks. And so that's all of us who were doing masters at the time. I did masters in economics. Who were doing masters at the time, we just became interested and fascinated. We were interested in working in a bank. New generation bank, not old generation bank, not. And so that was how it all started. And we started applying for jobs in our banks. And I got, yes, at the master's level, it was clear I wanted to work in a bank. And yes, that was started. As in then, Santana was a posh guy. So we they oppressed us in school, I must say. And then we too wanted to become the big boys in future with the brochures, suspenders, white shirt, dark suits, etc.
The growth and development of any institution is determined by the quality of its leadership. For Tony Elumelu, his sterling performance and leadership scorecard in the banking industry remains a reference point. He rose quickly to become the youngest bank branch manager at Allstate Trust Bank at the age of 36. He formed a coalition to acquire a distressed financial institution, Crystal Bank, and became its CEO, an action that earned him and his circle of peers the nickname the Cowboys of Banking.
In 1997, some of us came together and acquired a distressed financial institution. We acquired the financial institution, we turned it around, we set targets for ourselves, strategic plans. That's targets. The first year strategic intent, we want to make it a viable financial services company. Second year intent, we want to become a leading financial services group on the continent. And third financial intent, strategic intent to become a player in the global financial arena. As we all know, there's so much private global capital seeking the right investment destination. All it takes is for a leadership to show that this country is set for business and people come there. We want to move into an economy where they can invest freely as well as move their monies out when it comes for time for dividend and remittances and repatriation of a dividend. So I will continue to invest because of the signal that we see in the market, because of certain fundamentals that are right.
He audaciously led the largest merger in Africa between United Bank of Africa and Standard Trust Bank. Tony's fancy for red tie remains an emblem of his appearance. He retired as CEO of United Bank for Africa in 2010. He is presently the chairman of Heirs Holdings, the United Bank for Africa, Transcorp, and founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation.
I can't express how excited I am in words to be here and to be selected among the 1,000.
It's the opportunity for me to realize my dreams. So I go into business and start to make my way.
It challenges you to do things you never thought you could do.
Maybe if you'd have gone to a private school or an MBA, you must have paid a lot to get this kind of, enlightenment.
Ça me fait plaisir de voir des frères et sœurs qui veulent se rencontrer, se connaître, les partager et créer un réseau, peut-être le plus grand réseau africain.
Venho de Cabo Verde.
Je suis tunisien.
Je viens de la République du Bénin.
I'm from Edo State, Nigeria.
I'm from Ghana.
Zimbabwe.
Sudan.
From Rwanda.
Gabon. Uganda.
Senegal. Niger. I'm from the Gambia.
Welcome and thank you for coming to Lagos. I'd like to start by congratulating all of you. You have done well. Most entrepreneurs are creative people. They have creative mindset. They're innovative. Those who dare to dream and who dare to innovate in Africa should have the opportunity to prove their innovation. And that is why we have $10,000 for these 10,000 Africans to help prove their concept and prepare them for bigger scale financial support. We don't give because we see it as a moral burden to just give charity. But we want to give people because we want to uplift them. We want them to be self-reliant. We want them to be fishermen. We want them to do what we are doing. We want them to prosper in life, become successful.
Tony made a tremendous contribution to giving back to the society. His selfless efforts and huge investment into humanity through the Tony Elumelu Foundation is widely admired as the leading philanthropy empowering a new generation of African entrepreneurs, driving poverty eradication, catalyzing job creation across all 54 African countries, and increasing women economic empowerment. Since the launch of the entrepreneurship program in 2015, the foundation has trained over 1.5 million young Africans on its digital hub. Tony, the Nigerian economist, entrepreneur and philanthropist, holds the Nigerian National Honors, the Commander of the Order of Nigeria, CON, a member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. He has been responsible for creating business that are critical to Africa's economic development. He is a proponent of Africa capitalism, an economic philosophy which advocates for the private sector's commitment to Africa's development through long-term investment in strategic sectors of the economy that drive economic prosperity and social wealth award. He was awarded the Daily Times the Nigerian Man of the Year in 2016. He was honored with the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2019. He is also on the list of Time magazine's 100 Most Influential People of 2020. On October 11, 2022, Elumelu received the National Honor of Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Tony, as a staunch professional and chairman of Foremost Bank, may understandably runs a busy daily schedule like that of a bee, but he balances the equation with creating time for sports. His love for lawn tennis and football stands undeniable.
My good workout memories, I think I would say that I like to jump on the sport. I love yoga, as you said. Yeah. But these days I'm trying to get in the groove of planking.
Tony is not just a champion in the backyard. He equally balances the equation when it comes to family life.
For me, as a family man, though, I try to make sure I balance things. I try to make sure my family side knows. So in that process, I was also growing a family, having my kids and co. So, but everything came together.
Tony is happily married to Awele Vivian Elumelu, who is the chairperson of Harvey Medical Practice Limited. Vivian also oversees the healthcare investment of US Holdings. She holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Benin. The marriage was consummated in 1993 and blessed with 7 children. According to Forbes' list, Tony is among the top 10 richest entrepreneurs in Nigeria with a net worth estimated at $1 billion.
We don't just preach. We don't just theorize, we practice.
Tony has stooped to conquer not just in the banking industry, but in life. The strides of this living legend, popularly referred to as the Lion of Africa's financial industry, remains iconic.
So entrepreneurs who are listening, quick one, short one, straight to the point. Entrepreneurship is a long-term journey. Stop seeing it as a short-term goal. Long-term journey. Great companies, great and accomplished entrepreneurs did not make it in 1 year. They didn't make it in 3 years. It's a long-term journey. So moving, dare to dream, implement your dream, and stay focused.
Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, SOUQ Enlightenment.